I had asked a lot of people in my family for a chance because this is what I was really trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, can y'all help buy me a beat? I really want to rap. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them just wasn't taking me serious. Like, you better go get a job. What you trying to rap for and all this other stuff.
Right. And she believed in you.
She believed in me. She was the only one. That first day out video, she paid for the video, bought the outfit I had on in the video, everything.
This is Jobina Brown, better known as JB, a 41-year-old music manager, dedicated aunt, and the singular person who believed in her nephew's impossible dream when absolutely nobody else would. On August 20th, 2019, Jobina would be found dead in the back seat of a black Chrysler 300, riddled with multiple gunshot wounds on Detroit's unforgiving East Side streets. Her nephew sat in the front seat, completely unharmed, not a single scratch, not a single bullet wound. But before we dive into the conspiracy theories, the courtroom drama, the allegations that would shake the hip-hop world to its absolute core, and the trial that ended with a hung jury just months ago in 2025, let me take you back to where this devastating story truly begins. Born Terry Sanchez Wallace Jr. on March 23, 1994, Tee Grizzley emerged from the absolute depths of Detroit's most challenging environments. His childhood was marked by unimaginable tragedy upon tragedy. His mother was incarcerated when he was still just a young boy trying to understand the world. And in 2012, his father was killed in a shooting, leaving Terry without either parent to guide him through his most formative years. With nowhere else to turn and few legitimate options available to a young black man in Detroit's most forgotten neighborhoods, Tee briefly attended Michigan State University, desperately trying to escape the streets through education and opportunity. But the pull of survival proved too strong, too immediate, too necessary. He dropped out, turning instead to street life. In 2011, he was arrested for armed robbery in Kentucky, a desperate act that would cost him nearly 3 years of his life behind bars. But prison, rather than destroying him completely, gave him something unexpected: time to think, time to plan, time to dream about a different future. Upon his release in 2016, Tee channeled every single ounce of his pain, his experiences, his losses, and his survival instincts into music. He released First Day Out, a raw, unfiltered autobiographical narrative that captured the attention of millions almost immediately. The song went viral, garnering millions upon millions of views on YouTube, and suddenly, impossibly, Terry Wallace had a legitimate shot at stardom. Signed to 300 Entertainment, he released albums like My Moment in 2017 and Scriptures in 2019, collaborating with major artists such as Lil Yachty and Big Sean. By 2019, Tee Grizzley was becoming a prominent, increasingly influential figure in Detroit's competitive rap scene, known specifically for his raw, brutally honest autobiographical lyrics about survival, loss, betrayal, and the constant struggle to escape the streets that raced him. And through every single step of this journey, there was one constant presence, one unwavering supporter, one person who believed when belief seemed absolutely foolish. Jobina Brown, Tee's maternal aunt, was instrumental in his entire career. Described by everyone who knew her as a dedicated manager, a family pillar, and a fiercely protective presence, the 41-year-old woman handled his business affairs with professional precision while providing the emotional support that only family can truly offer.
She paid for the video, bought the outfit I had on in the video, everything. You know what I'm saying? So.
Friends and colleagues remembered her as both professional and deeply protective, with one music manager describing having a horrible gut feeling upon learning of her death. Brown's role extended far beyond simple management duties. She was a constant, reassuring presence in Tee's life since his troubled childhood, accompanying him on tours across the country, sitting through endless studio sessions, negotiating contracts, handling finances, and providing the stable family foundation that he desperately needed. Now, let me take you to August 20th, 2019. The shooting occurred around 9 p.m. on Detroit's east side, specifically in the 3600 block of 3 Mile Drive. Jobina Brown was seated in the back seat of a black Chrysler 300, though some initial reports varied, citing either a Cadillac Escalade or simply an SUV, with Tee Grizzley in the front passenger seat and a driver behind the wheel. They were returning from a studio session promoting his album Scriptures, heading to a relative's house in what should have been just another routine evening in an increasingly successful rapper's increasingly busy life. The driver had exited the vehicle for reasons that remain unclear to this day. Tee was in the front seat, Jobina was in the back, probably checking her phone. And then, without warning, without mercy, without any chance for escape or defense, shots suddenly rang out from an unknown location, shattering the quiet evening air. The gunfire struck the vehicle multiple times, and Jobina was hit repeatedly on her left side, including near her heart and arm. Police reports noted no broken glass at the scene initially, suggesting the windows might have been down. The driver, hearing the gunshots, immediately fled to nearby Buckingham and Lux streets before contacting police from a safe distance. Tee Grizzley, completely unarmed and utterly defenseless, dropped to the ground, survival instincts from his street days taking over. A cousin emerged armed, but the shooters had already escaped into the Detroit night. Jobina, fighting for every breath, managed to call Tee from the ambulance, but she was too severely injured to speak clearly, her words probably desperate, probably scared, probably trying to tell him something crucial.
No, hell no, I ain't trying to talk her out of it. Because she already had money, so she was already straight for real.
Okay.
And I really needed that. And I saw that she was the only one that really believed. She was the only one I could trust for real. You know what I'm saying? So I was all for it.
Later that same night, Jobina Brown was pronounced dead at a local hospital. The Wayne County medical examiner confirmed the cause of death. Tee Grizzley was completely unharmed. Not a single bullet had touched him, not a single wound marked his body. And that single fact brings us to the question. If the shooting was really random, why was only Jobina hit? If it was targeted, who was the real target? Tee or his aunt? And most disturbingly, most explosively, most controversially, could Tee Grizzley himself have somehow been involved in his own aunt's murder?
Well, Glenda, Detroit police tell me that homicide investigators are still working on this case, still trying to figure out what led up to the shooting here on 3 Mile Road just off of Mack. Meanwhile, those who knew Brown say she was kind-hearted and a hard worker.
She was a sweetheart. She was a good person. She was the type of person that would look out for you, do whatever, she could to help you.
Bushman, host of the Bushman Show on 97.9 WJLB, first got to know Jobina Brown 3 years ago. He called her JB. She was the manager and aunt of Detroit rapper Tee Grizzley. She also managed Detroit rapper Sada Baby. Sources say on Tuesday night around 9:30, the 41-year-old was sitting in a Chrysler 300 with 2 other men here on 3 Mile just off of Mack. Police say as one of the men got out of the car, she was shot and killed.
JB, I love you. I miss you, but I will never forget about you. You were a queen and you were awesome.
Bushman says he's been getting calls and comments on social media from people across the country, those who've gotten to know Brown and some who are fans of Tee Grizzley. Bushman says Brown was a young woman who was committed and kind.
It was like her first time managing, but she grasped the knowledge of how to manage an artist and was running with it, and he's been very successful.
After hearing about her death, he shared this video of Brown in the studio with Tee Grizzley in May of 2018. She was fixing his hair, taking care of him like Bushman says she always would.
I wanted to share something for people to remember her by. When you're behind the scenes, you don't always get the credit for the things that you do, and I want people to understand who she was and what she meant to Tee Grizzley, Sada.
And as he continues to pay tribute to her, he just hopes the questions surrounding who took her life won't remain unanswered much longer.
Just want to know why. What made you do that? What caused you? What was going on in your mind and in your life that you felt like you had to pull a gun out and pop?
The Detroit Police Homicide Unit immediately took control of the case, recognizing instantly that this was no ordinary street shooting, no random act of violence in a city unfortunately accustomed to gun violence. They initially found absolutely no signs that the attack was random, but the crucial details evolved constantly, shifted repeatedly, and changed depending on who was telling the story and what evidence they were examining. For years, the case remained completely unsolved, a cold file in Detroit's overwhelmed homicide division, another family without justice, another murder without answers. But then in 2025, everything suddenly changed in ways nobody could have possibly predicted. Jermaine Whedon, known on the streets as Wu, Wong, or Wu Thang, a Chicago resident with documented affiliations to the notorious 600 gang, was charged with first-degree premeditated murder and multiple weapons offenses. The 600 gang, a Chicago-based organization with deep roots in drill music culture and connections throughout the hip-hop industry, had long been associated with violence, territorial disputes, and complex interpersonal beefs that often spilled into deadly consequences. The evidence that prosecutors assembled against Whedon was primarily circumstantial, but it was robust, extensive, and deeply compelling when viewed as a complete package. Cell phone data placed Whedon near the 3600 block of 3 Mile Drive for approximately 2 full hours before the 9 o'clock shooting. 2 hours suggesting surveillance, planning, waiting for the perfect moment, watching for his target to become vulnerable. A stolen blue Nissan Versa, matching multiple witness descriptions of the getaway vehicle, was linked directly to Whedon, connecting him to the escape despite no witnesses actually observing him at the immediate crime scene. A .40 caliber Glock 23 was also recovered during Whedon's completely unrelated arrest in Chicago in October 2019, just 2 months after Jobina Brown's murder. When ballistics experts ran the weapon through the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, the results confirmed that the Glock 23 in Whedon's possession was a direct match to shell casings recovered from the shooting site on 3 Mile Drive. This was the gun that killed Jobina Brown. Whedon's documented associations included 600 gang members like Buka 600, a childhood friend, and 600 Breezy. And Tee Grizzley himself had collaborations and connections within this exact same circle, including working with Lil Durk, another prominent figure connected to Chicago's drill music scene. Social media investigators, internet sleuths, YouTube commentators, and conspiracy theorists immediately began connecting dots. Some legitimate, many wildly speculative. Was this a gang hit? Was it retaliation for some unknown beef? Was it mistaken identity? Or was Tee Grizzley himself somehow involved, somehow complicit, somehow behind his own aunt's murder? The trial in Wayne County Circuit Court finally began in July 2025, nearly 6 years after Jobina Brown's death. 6 years of her family waiting for justice, 6 years of questions festering and conspiracy theories spreading like wildfire across social media platforms. Jury selection started on July 15th, and evidence hearings progressed methodically by July 24th. Prosecutors from the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office presented all of their forensic evidence meticulously: the cell phone data, the stolen vehicle, the ballistics match, arguing powerfully and persuasively that this evidence demonstrated clear, undeniable premeditation. But the defense filed several pretrial motions, including motions to quash information, suppress evidence, and even an emergency motion, all of which were ultimately denied by the court. The defense's central argument was absolutely fascinating, completely unexpected, and potentially devastatingly effective: Whedon's physical incapacity. He had been shot himself just 2 weeks prior to Brown's murder, sustaining serious injuries that allegedly impaired his mobility and physical ability to execute this particular crime.
Kimberly, tonight we know the Detroit rapper was one of 3 people inside that car when the shots went off. Now, when they're in that shooting, the rapper's aunt died, but he was not injured.
How could a man recovering from gunshot wounds surveil a target for 2 hours and execute a precision drive-by shooting? However, Tee Grizzley himself, called as a key witness in his own aunt's murder trial, invoked his Fifth Amendment rights during questioning. He refused to answer questions about his song lyrics that internet detectives claimed contained hidden confessions or coded messages. He refused to discuss his tattoos, body art that conspiracy theorists analyzed frame by frame for hidden meanings. He refused to address his criminal history, his gang affiliations, his connections to the 600 crew. He invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, avoiding potential legal jeopardy amid the swirling online rumors that he had orchestrated his own aunt's murder. Why would an innocent man invoke the Fifth Amendment? What was he hiding?
Messed up and complicated, but he didn't testify. He was able to get out of it by Fifth Amendment. Does that mean that he backdoored his aunt? Not necessarily. Not really. It doesn't really mean it. You really can't draw any conclusions from it. That's exactly the reason they let you use it, because you could say something that someone could think means one thing, and it's not evidence or proof. Sounds like they have a very weak case. They have multiple theories that are kind of revolving around through it,
Is it beef? Do you having a lot of beef out here? Or is it
I ain't
just
got no
hate?
beef out here. Niggas just don't like me.
Why you think?
Why would they?
Why you think? Well, I mean, what you haven't done anything? Is it your success? Is it something from your past?
So don't nobody really know me personally. I don't know none of these niggas personally. So you can't have no personal problem with me. You feel me? So what other reason is it to not like me besides what I got going on? That's just the way I feel about it.
Mm.
You feel me?
Well, man, look, you
Like you see how we kicking it right now?
Yeah.
Most of the people that don't like me, we ain't even had this. You see what I'm saying?
And I'm gonna tell you, I've heard that. Go ahead.
And if we did have this type of relationship where I was kicking it with them and they don't like me, it's because they did some whole shit and I don't fuck with them no more. And for me to not fuck with you no more, that mean a lot because you're not gonna find another nigga like me. You will never find it again. 5,000 years ago by, there'll never be another person like me. And I ain't even talking about just what I got, I'm just talking about like my heart.
The type of person you are.
You feel me?
Whedon's bond was set at just $75,000, 10% cash or surety, a relatively shockingly low amount for a first-degree, premeditated murder charge. Legal experts watching the case suggested this relatively modest bail possibly indicated perceived weaknesses in the prosecution's circumstantial case, or perhaps it reflected a low-assessed flight risk. Either way, it raised eyebrows throughout Michigan's legal community. Deliberations concluded without consensus, without agreement, without the clear verdict that Jobina Brown's family desperately needed. The judge declared a hung jury around July 31st or early August 2025. Social media reactions on platforms like X highlighted the hung jury outcome immediately, with posts from August 2025 noting the deadlock and speculating wildly, endlessly, relentlessly about retrial prospects and what this outcome truly meant. A subsequent appeal, formally documented as docket number 376392 in the Michigan Court of Appeals, was dismissed on August 6, 2025, due to procedural noncompliance under specific Michigan court rules. As of today, November 13, 2025, no retrial has been officially scheduled and public court records show absolutely no further activity, leaving this devastating case suspended in legal limbo, leaving Jobina Brown's family without closure, without justice, without peace. Some online sources also claimed that Jobina Brown was pregnant at the time of her death, with the most disturbing allegations suggesting Tee Grizzley himself was the father, creating a motive for murder that would be absolutely devastating if proven true. However, these pregnancy claims were definitively debunked by the official autopsy report conducted by the Wayne County Medical Examiner. Jobina Brown was not pregnant when she died.
That's not true. So you think you can't be fooled by the fucking internet?
Regardless of whether she was pregnant or not, people still held on to the claim that Tee and his aunt had an intimate relationship. Tee Grizzley has consistently, repeatedly, adamantly denied any role whatsoever in his aunt's death, calling such claims pure nonsense. So what really happened on August 20th, 2019? What do you think is the real story here? Let me know in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.